everybody. How are you all? We can chat. Uh, hello from Uruguay. Hello, Virginia. You can say hello. Where are you from? Hi from Rio Negro. Hello. Good. More and more people. Good. Well, welcome all of you. Hello again from Uruguay. More Lima, Peru. Very good. Luzern. Well, we are international. Welcome everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you again. This is another session of our Advancing Learning program. Hi from Cordova. Very good. Parish Robertson School. Welcome everybody. It's so nice to be here. And this is my second webinar about SEN, special educational needs. This time it's attention issues, okay? Before starting, I would like to let you know a few things. Everybody wants a certificate. So between tomorrow and Monday, you will get automatically your certificates. And we're going to do this. We are going to send you the certificates by mail, by email. We've got your email address. And you're going to get, together with your certificate, this SEN presentation. Okay? So everything with you before Monday, between tomorrow and Monday. Okay? So welcome everybody, and let's start with attention issues. This is not an easy thing, an easy topic. Basically, because everybody wants an answer, everybody wants a recipe, everybody wants a solution. And I'm sorry, I have to tell you the truth. And the truth is that there is no definite answer, there is no recipe. There are a few solutions, but you have to discover them. I cannot, and I don't think there's anybody who can tell you, well, if you do this, you will guarantee this and that. That is impossible. Okay? So I have prepared a few questions myself. Things that many teachers ask me about all this. The first one is it genetic? Can children with attention issues learn English? Or related to this, can they attend a double shift school? If so, how? What can we do when a child has the symptoms but no diagnosis? And this is so frequent nowadays. Should we involve parents? How ready are we teachers? I was going to say in Argentina, but we've got people from Lima, from Uruguay. So are we in general teachers ready for this challenge? Now, these are very few questions. Can I ask you, I'm going to give you a minute for this. Can you make me a few more questions? Oh, even from Spain. Welcome, Spain, Brazil, Greece, Chaco. Thank you very much for joining me. So can I ask you to please make me questions? Doesn't mean that I will know the answers, but if I don't, I promise I will find out, okay? San Miguel, welcome. Okay, so 1 minute, try to make me questions, okay? Not personal questions in terms of one particular student, but general questions related to this issue. It's your turn now. Make me a few questions. Welcome, Mendoza, okay. Cara, good. Questions now. Let's see, what would you like to know? What would you like me to answer? Apart from the ones I have already made. No question? Okay, maybe as I talk, you have more questions and you can make me questions any moment you want, okay? So then let's get started. Normally we hear, okay, there's one question. I have students with some attention issues. Yes, I work with an ADHD student. Great. Has there been some sort of overdiagnosis? Great, all the questions we're going to tackle here. Would it be possible to teach as all kids have the same attention issues? Okay, I don't know how to help them. Right. Okay, so this is what we're going to tackle, definitely. Anyway, when I finish, if you have more questions, no problem, you fire, right? So, when we speak about attention difficulties, attention disorders, attention, whatever you want to call it, for me, it's more a reality than a problem nowadays, okay? But we speak about ADD. And everybody talks about ADD in a very casual way. And it shouldn't be so because we are labeling it. One thing is that a child may find it difficult to focus. He may find it difficult to cope with a certain situation or certain situations in class. And another thing is to say he is ADD, as if we had the last final word. The problem is that ADD is rather complex for different reasons. First of all, very often it's not only attention deficit disorder, very often it goes together with hyperactivity. And when there is hyperactivity, there is very often impulsiveness. The point is that a child who is inattentive doesn't bother us, doesn't disturb us. He just doesn't pay attention. We complain about children when they are hyperactive, when they are impulsive, because they start fidgeting and they start kicking and they drop things all the time. That is what bothers me, or teachers in general. So we call the parents in, we complain. What do we complain about? The hyperactivity and the impulsiveness. Result, the children are very often medicated. Okay. I was telling you that this is a complex thing because it goes together with hyperactivity and impulsiveness on the one hand, and also because very often it leads to other things. We don't know if it leads to or it goes together with. One causes the other one, and which causes the second one, we don't know. But very often it comes together with dyslexia, for example. So they lead to difficulties in learning. These children don't learn easily. Now, it is possible to diagnose, yes, but we are not the ones who have to diagnose. To me, as a teacher of English, it doesn't matter it shouldn't matter if the child is ADD, ADHD, with impulsiveness, without impulsiveness. And I have more questions. What about impulsivity issue? What can we do when we identify that situation? But you teach remotely. Okay, excellent questions. We will tackle them throughout the workshop, right? Anyway, at the end, we may remain in touch and go into deeper, more personal things. So, going back. As teachers of English, it should not matter if he is or not ADD with hyperactivity or with impulsiveness. It doesn't matter. Because as educators, our duty is to find a way or to find ways in which this or these children or this child can learn. I may have a child who cannot hear properly. I may have a child who's got a leg in plaster. I may have a child who is dyslexic. These are all different realities. As an educator, I have to try and find a way. It will take time, yes. Maybe I don't have time. Maybe I'm not patient enough. Maybe I'm about to retire. But it's not the child, it's me. And there are, in most schools, educational therapists or psychologists. Those are the people that you should go and ask for help. You should tell them, I feel this, I see this, I notice this. What can I do? How can I help this child? Because that is our duty. Now, there is, as you can see in the purple rectangle over there, there is a manual that is a psychiatric thing to diagnose all this. But it's psychiatric, okay? It's a list of all the possible diseases with all the possible symptoms and how many symptoms a child needs to have in order to be diagnosed as ADD. It's not our duty. Now, yes, we have to pay attention to our behavioral indicators. Yes, a good teacher doesn't have to just look. A good teacher has to observe, to look for the indicators and look for details as to when the indicators appear, how often they appear, who they appear, who the child is with when the indicators appear. Now, transmission is not okay. I can't hear you correctly. Okay. Give me a second. Okay, some people can, others can't. My speakers are 100%. Can you all hear me now? The administrator is changing a few things. Can you hear me now? It's okay now. Great. So I go ahead. There's a difference between just seeing and observing. You can see just an eye, and you can see somebody with a magnifier in the picture. Okay? Somebody's having trouble with the transmission. Okay, our administrator is checking on this, right? Anyway, we will upload all this in YouTube next week. So don't worry about this, okay? I'm being told that it's because of connectivity. So it's not our problem, unfortunately. It's the internet, okay? Yes, Maria Belén, I'm afraid it's your connection. But let's go ahead, and this will be uploaded next week. Don't worry. YouTube, right? So going back. One question is just looking, and another thing is observing, looking for as much information as possible, okay? When the child reacts, who is he sitting next to when he reacts? What am I doing as a teacher when he reacts? And bearing in mind that very often, and here there are two clear positions, there are many doctors, neurologists, psychiatrists who medicate. And there are many people more psychologically oriented who believe that there may be something, yes, in the genes, perhaps. There may be something a little bit neurological, might be, but 80% of the cases it has to do with the magic word, limits. Limits at home. 90% of the cases you have are children who have no limits at home, no clear limits, no presence of the parents. Presence, not physical presence, presence in terms of doing the right thing, listening, trying to help the child out, spending quality time with that child. So, of course, that, yes, it may be technology. Yes, yes. Absolutely. Limits, absolutely. That is the most important thing here. So that child that you have there in your classroom is going to demand those limits. What he's asking for is limits in a nice way. Okay? Yes, somebody's saying, so then it's even worse. It's ADD and no limits. Yes, it's not easy at all, people. This is why I told you at the beginning. It's not easy at all. All right, so I go back to the first one. I mentioned behavioral indicators. What can you observe in your classes that makes you alert? Can you tell me? For example, of course, they cannot focus. Of course, they don't even listen, or sometimes they don't even look at you. What else? They constantly interrupt. Yes, they hit their partners very often. They need to move all the time. They need to go to the toilet. Very good answers. They talk and move all the time. Yes, yes. Okay, they are fidgety, definitely. Of course, this has consequences. Their voice level very good. Their pitch is very high, and they need to call the attention. These are all ways of calling the attention. But apart from that, because of all this, they cannot organize anything. They cannot organize their backpacks. They cannot organize their desk. They drop everything before beginning to write. They cannot finish when they copy. What they copy is untidy and full of mistakes. They cannot sustain their attention. So of course they cannot remember. Their backpack is a mess. Okay, well, everything you are saying is fine. Something even more dangerous. They cannot think about consequences. So if they hit somebody, if they kick somebody, and then you ask why, they just can't answer. There is no logical reason for that. So this means that it's useless to punish them because they will not see the consequences. Another indicator is that they demand constant feedback. They are asking you all the time, Miss, Miss, and the third time they start shouting, Miss. Well, they're asking for help. They are saying, here I am, please pay attention to me. Okay? So I understand it's very frustrating. I understand it's not easy. I understand we don't have the time. But I also know, I am convinced that we can do a lot of things. These children, very often we focus on the negative things. They cannot pay attention, they are fidgety, they can be rude. But there are many things that they are good at. So next time, when you go to the staff room and you hear people criticizing Peter, saying that he can't do this, he can't do that, maybe you can say, well, but he can do this. So there are these children in general. Sorry for being late. Okay, no problem at all. No problem at all. I'm answering the next question. Should we always include an activity that makes them move? I'm coming to that, okay? Give me a second, and now I will go to the activity. These children have got some positive things. We all have positive things. Now, we teachers have to observe. We have to discover those positive things. They are enthusiastic. They are very energetic. In fact, you know that neurosciences are advancing a lot, and they have discovered that children born after the year 2001 produce more ATP. ATP is a chemical that is produced in our cells, and that chemical is the one that produces energy. These children produce physiologically more ATP, which means that physically they have more energy. They are very creative, they are fearless, and they can have a good sense of justice. My question now is, with all this, how is all this relevant to me as a teacher of English? What can I do with all this? They are good at this, they have these characteristics, and then in my English class, what happens? What do you think? Why is they are being enthusiastic, relevant, or interesting for me as a teacher of English? Let's see who answers first. Come on. I would like to congratulate somebody. Who can answer? Why are all these good things important or relevant? We can adapt. We can adapt things, yes. What else? These children, because they are very enthusiastic and energetic, are excellent leaders. They are excellent because somebody's answering, because we want to be motivated and active. Exactly. We love active students. They can be very active if we do one or two things they like. They are not going to be active when you teach grammar. They are not going to be active when you have to deal with the workbook 20 exercises that look the same. Okay? We must be creative as teachers. Excellent answers. Now, they are enthusiastic and energetic. This takes me to total physical response activities. This takes me to games. This takes me to songs. This takes me to oral answers rather than written work. This takes me to making models using, for example, Play-Doh before they explain. Imagine that you are teaching there is and there are. Of course, you can use the picture in the book. Excuse me. But maybe they can make a model with things they have, stuff they have at home, and use their own model to show what they have created. They are excellent at that. They are very creative. They can change the endings of stories. They love stories. They are very good at acting. Now, if you want them to, for example, in taking a story from a book, you want them to add an ending or add another frame to the story, don't make them draw a lot. Don't make them write a lot. They just can't. Perhaps you can tell them to use pin figures, very simple pin figures. Don't ask them to take out 20 colors because they will drop them, they will lose them. Ask them to draw using black pencil and guide them and guide them. And somebody is saying the problem is when you have 34 kids in the class. Yes, I agree. And I will be very honest. In Argentina, we are beginning to speak about inclusion. And many schools, public and private, accept children with different issues. It's not only ADD. ADD is not serious compared to other much more serious cases. Now, when you've got 34 and perhaps 30 have got issues of different kinds, it's very difficult to think about inclusion. I think it's, for the time being, a lie. We are beginning to integrate slowly, and we are doing it as teachers alone because we are not prepared. You are here today because nobody taught you how to do it. If not, you wouldn't be listening to me. I have created this workshop and some other documents that I am writing because teachers are asking me to this. But I am studying now. I am doing a degree in educational therapy. As a teacher, I didn't learn this. So this is the reality. And we have to be honest. With 34, it's very difficult to do all this. Maybe you cannot do it with the 34, but try to do it with one or two. And next year, because you've got the experience, it will be 3 or 4 gradually. Unfortunately, it's on us. Everything is on us. So, not prepared. Everybody agrees. Great, great. But we have to keep on working, and we can manage. We can become better teachers thanks to this. So, going on with the seminar. They can be very creative, but their creativity needs a limit. You need a time limit. You need to tell me, you need to tell them that they can only use a black pencil. You have to help them organize because they cannot organize anything. And they are fearless. So when they make a mistake, don't punish them. It doesn't make any sense. Don't threaten them. Don't send them to the headmaster's office. It doesn't make any sense. Try to avoid the problem. If you observe carefully, you will see from their body language that they are telling you that they are about to burst. They are about to explode. So there you stop and ask them to do something. That comes in the next slide. But they are fearless, but because they cannot anticipate consequences, not because they are doing this to you. Nothing is done on purpose. They are not being naughty. They just cannot control it. And they have a very good sense of justice. So they are excellent as, for example, members of the jury. When you play a game, you can decide to give 1 extra point to the team that behaves better. Or you can give 1 extra point to the team that speaks better during the presentation. And that extra point, this child with ADD may be the one who decides who wins that extra point, because this is a characteristic. They have a very clear sense of justice. In this way, you are making the difficult child a leader, and he will feel different towards you, because most other teachers complain about them, they criticize them, and you are taking a different point of view. You're saying, no, you can be a leader, come on, go ahead, do this. And so they will feel much more relaxed and more willing to participate. Yes, we have to be prepared for difficult situations. I definitely agree, and more difficult situations. Now, what do they need more concretely, because you want special tips? They need a special place in the classroom. They need to be near the front, not exactly at the front, second row, second line, near you, next to another student that he gets along with, not the one you like, not necessarily the best, because usually the best student doesn't get along with this one. But definitely, you must never put two of the same kind together because you will go crazy. Okay? Then, when you see, this is what I was speaking about before, when you see that they are about to get lost, when you see that they start dropping things, when you see that they are beginning to feel uncomfortable and they show it physically because they begin to fidget, then you redirect their attention. That is a way of avoiding conflict. What do I do to redirect the attention? I ask him to stand up and clean the blackboard. I ask him to open the door, please, or to close the window, please, or to go and get me a glass of water. Or I ask him, would you like to go and ask her and get a glass of water? Would you like to go to the toilet? That second, or that sometimes the mere question is enough for him to come back to reality. Some teachers are participating. I would ask them a personal question. Okay, personal questions are nothing wrong, but the point is that maybe very often a personal question would have nothing to do with what we are dealing with. If you can make imagine that you're working on a story or you're presenting something or you're practicing oral work and you want to make him a personal question using that grammar point or about that story. If it is related, yes. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense in terms of the other students who are looking at you. So it would be disruptive for the rest, okay? When the others are writing, it doesn't make any sense to make a personal question. Redirecting would have to do with that, opening a door or closing a window, okay? Could it be simply to ask him to collect the books, worksheets? Definitely, definitely, okay? Pupils, these children can be helpers in the classroom. Yes, definitely. That's good. I would try to adapt it to the content we are dealing with. Yes, of course. Okay, great ideas, all of you. Fine. Now, when you plan, and this was another question, you need to plan with movement. Now, does movement need that you must dance? Not necessarily. Movement may be dancing, but movement may be a true or false exercise transformed into thumbs up for true, thumbs down for false. Clap for true, stamp your feet for false. That is going physical as well. Movement is I correct one activity orally, but I may ask this child, who perhaps can help me in this exercise, to go to the board and write the answers. That is movement. It need not be dancing if you don't feel like it. He's always near me, so I usually explain to him personally. Okay, yes. Remember, I don't object to your explaining things personally. It's great. It's great that you have noticed that he needs you. Now, bear in mind that these children will not have you all the time. The best thing that you can do is train the child, teach the child, so that eventually you may say, okay, go ahead, go out into the world, you are ready. Okay? If you all the time teach him like privately, the others will require your attention. And what you are doing is just showing him that he goes on being special and different. So I know sometimes it is necessary, but not always. In these cases, the word always and never don't work. Remember that these children should have a normal life after all. So we have to teach them. We have to teach them to belong to the group. We have to teach them to work more or less like the other. Okay? During the warm-up, I don't know if this is a question. Somebody has typed during the warm-up. The movement should be throughout the lesson. And every now and then, not always and not never. Every now and then, it refers to variety in the activities, variety in the correction technique. Not only in the warm-up, definitely not, because these students need a change every 5 minutes. Okay. Um, okay, the administrator is listening to all this and can see all your comments. So there is a sound problem. There's no noise at all here. I'm alone and there's no noise. So probably it's some kind of difficulty in the connection. Okay. These students get frustrated. Yes, they get frustrated when they don't achieve what they want. It's not that they get frustrated when they don't learn. They get frustrated when you demand attention and when you want them to finish and when you want them to do things that they are not used to doing. Remember, there is that limits issue here. Okay. Now, of course, they need short tasks. They need segmentation. This means when you have to adapt the material, it means not more than 4 questions or 4 answers or 4 takes, 4 segmentation, and usually one activity. Very similar things, very similar activities to the ones you use with dyslexic students. You can use with ADD students. A bigger font, uh, big spaces in between, one activity per page. They need to get some kind of sense of achievement, at least 4 sentences, and they have managed to answer them or to copy them or to whatever, but at least something. Very often, if you ask all the other teachers they have, all of them will say, oh, no, they never finish. Oh, no, they never do this. So be the first one to give them a chance. They need constant feedback, and feedback comes in the form of a correction, but it also comes in the form of a smile. It also comes in the form of, well done, or just monitoring their work and saying, oh, look, you finished a sentence. Good, go ahead. Maybe the others have finished 20, and this boy has just finished 1, but he is doing 1, and that is enough, okay? And of course, avoid punishment. Now, here you've got some pictures. The first one is management, because this is clearly a question of management. And I know it's the most difficult thing when you've got 34. But if you don't have good management, you will not work, you will not be able to succeed, you will not be able to attain any of all this, not with 34, with 10. So management is the key element here. Now, what can you see in the first picture? What concepts would you associate with the first picture? Group work? Yes, it's group work. It's group work, and group work is okay. Teamwork, great. Remember I told you that these children can be good leaders. You can tell them what to supervise. And when they are supervising, when they are working in a team that they feel identified with, they are not going to kick. Of course, this has to be a short activity. It's never the whole afternoon teamwork. Never, ever. Okay? And then look at the teacher, monitoring their work closely, closely. Yes, it is cooperation, it is collaboration, but not the whole class together, very few students, teacher monitoring their work, and the students he gets along with. Yes? If you look at the second picture, there you've got another key element. The teacher is establishing very clear eye contact with the students. The teacher is targeting the questions. This is very important. Eye contact, yes, right. The teacher is targeting the questions. So this is essential. This is a very good strategy. Think what you are going to ask this child. You can make a question when you see he is about to get lost, or you can make a question when you know he will answer. Now, try to avoid making him a question when you know he will not answer because he got lost, because the only thing you will get is frustration. Okay? So, targeting should be the result of your observation. And in the last picture, you see a male teacher in full control. Look at the body language. Look at the students looking at him attentively. That is what we have to get. And that is what I call presence. Presence is not just your clothes. Presence is not only at the front. Presence is everybody looks at me because they know what I'm saying is important. Okay? And in this way, yes, it's much more inclusive. And they are working again in groups or teams, so I can personalize. Okay? Sorry for those people who say the sound is not clear, but the microphones here are okay. It's a connectivity issue, and we cannot do much about it, unfortunately. Okay? I repeat this. Right, so more specifically, they need timing. Every time you tell them to do an activity, you point out how long they have. And you walk near them, you look at their work, showing that you care. When I say limits, and when I said that maybe at home they didn't have their parents' presence in terms of quality time, every time you show you care, they will associate it with affection, and that will make them work. But if you just don't look at them, if you just pay attention to the good ones, if you feel so bad about not being able to cope with all this that you leave them aside, then it's going to get worse and worse. Help them with the organization of their routine and with the material. With the material, telling them, yes, motivation is the real key. Yes, I will come to motivation in a few minutes. Let's focus on organization. It's very important for you as teachers to help them and to teach them how to organize everything, their routine and the material. The material, when you ask them, for example, okay, we're going to make a drawing. So what do you think you will need? Pencil. All right, take out a pencil. Take only the pencil. Or take only the pencil. I don't want the folder, the book, the workbook, and the pencil because I know they will drop it. Or if you're going to use colors, choose the 3 colors that you're going to use. Okay? So it's never a lot of things on the desk. That is confusing and that causes trouble. So help them organize the material. And as regards the routine, establish moments. Moments for singing, moments for or days for using the reader, moments for the workbook, moments for songs, okay? And if possible, inform parents about it. It's very important. When I say it's very important, it doesn't mean that you're going to get their help. Maybe you don't, but it doesn't matter. As teachers, we cannot change the reality at home. We cannot change the home environment. We cannot change the way parents think or act. But whatever happens within my 4 walls in my classroom, that is my responsibility. My duty is to inform parents. My duty is to suggest how they can help. If they don't do it, it's their choice. And that's it. Okay? Of course, they need very precise instructions, very clear, short sentences, always followed by an example, if possible, from a student that is near them so that they can look at them. If they don't even look at the student who is giving the example, they will not understand and they will not do the activity. They learn through images. So the more visual aids you can use, the better. Thank you. Somebody's saying very good tips. I try to be practical, okay? But then you may ask me whatever you want, and I see if I can answer. They need images. Of course, we try, this is Macmillan, okay, and we write books, so we try to include as many visual aids as possible. We try, I thank you. You're writing so many nice things. Thank you so much. Of course, we try to give you as many images as possible, but on the one hand, images are terribly expensive to be paid in dollars or pounds. And second, the page has got a limit. So we cannot use more than 2, 3, and sometimes if we use 5, they are too small. So you know what? It doesn't matter if students are not allowed to use their mobile phones in class, but you can use yours. Show them pictures in your mobile. If you're going to read an article about another country, show them a map. Show them pictures of how people live or what people eat in that country. But show them pictures in your cell phone. Your cell phone becomes more personalized. It's much warmer than the book. And that will make what we call bonding. Bonding has to do with feeling relaxed. And when you make bonds, then you are ready to learn. Okay? Somebody is saying multimedia is key. Yes and no. Be careful. Multimedia is key, yes, if you know how to use it properly. Be careful because I have to say something that is a bit hard. Be careful because all these children, if we have the possibility to visit their bedroom, you will find a multimedia bedroom. You will find a tablet, a computer, a television, and 2 cell phones. And probably that is one of the many reasons that have led to ADD. This doesn't happen in rural areas. This doesn't happen when the children have no access to any of these things. Why not? There are different reasons, different causes. I'm saying that all technologies, all this technological world that we are immersed in has a little bit of responsibility. So multimedia is the key, yes, because you can project stories. You can focus on one part of the story and then on another part, giving them the chance to focus. Yes. Now, these children are not ready for 100% multimedia work. They need variety. And variety means book, the projector, the workbook, a song, a little bit of listening, a little bit of reading, a little bit of playing, a little bit of dancing. Okay? So, of course, the materials have to be relevant. So, if you're going to read about a country in Africa, or if you're going to tell your students what children do in England, it's okay. But then go down to your own country, allow them to personalize, let them show you what happens in the neighborhood where he lives, because otherwise it's too far away. And they need to be very concrete. Somebody is saying, making a very interesting comment here. Some tests don't have pictures. Yes. Some tests don't have pictures. You work with little children. Pictures are very important. And another important thing is that the picture should be clear enough. Sometimes the pictures are so ridiculous that they mean nothing and they make the child confused. So it's all right. Yes, tests should have drawings too or pictures too to clarify. Okay. Or sometimes when you are speaking about older children, perhaps a picture is not necessary. But yes, in another font, using other more creative or more modern letter type, then yes, you can like have a rectangle or a square with extra comments. That's very good. Okay. And then remember that even when we don't agree, even when we don't like it, because I've got an hour and I have to make the most of that hour that I have, they need a second to breathe. They need to stop, breathe in, and go on. So it's physical. They just cannot go on and on and on. So give them a second to drink some water, to open the door or close the window. Yes? Of course, there are things that they should not be asked to do. Somebody is asking or saying something about the fonts. Yes, the fonts have to be big, the same as children with dyslexia. Uh, some fonts are more recommendable than others. We are speaking about Times New Roman or Verdana, 14 on. One Arial is also good. One activity per page, very clear spaces in between. If they are supposed to answer a question, type a dotted line for them to have a line on which to write, okay? Now, of course, if we know they find it difficult to copy, if we know they waste a lot of time every time they have to copy, let us not ask them to copy. We can make them do the work when we have a small photocopy with all the activities. Or maybe they just write the answer. So uh, forget about asking them to copy questions and then answer them, or copy sentences and then they should write true or false. Just give them everything in cards or in photocopy. Yes, they can write. Yes, they can take or cross, but not so many sentences as the other students. So try to include more oral work, activities and photocopies ready for them. If you want them to copy, because sometimes it's good, of course they don't like it, but they need to copy. They need to make an effort. They need to be forced to do that. But just a few sentences, just one or two, and the rest you can do them orally. As they copy, and this is very important, as they copy, you have to monitor their work. So, and you will say, and what do I do with the other 30 that I have? Remember that at the front, near you, you will have the ones with difficulty. So monitoring doesn't mean that you will be next to him all the time, 100%, but yes, that you will pay attention to what he's doing and celebrate when he has finished at least one sentence. Celebrate when he remembers a capital letter. Celebrate when he underlines. Remember that these children are rejected. So if you celebrate, they are going to find it surprising. These are things they can do. These are things that help them. Watching videos. Again, technology, but videos that are short. I'm not speaking about having a whole session for video watching. It's a short video with short activities afterwards. So here, or movie trailers, yes, very good. In this book, they watch a video, a short video. In the unit, they are talking about sports. So of course, they are going to watch this as a book for pseudo-bilingual schools. So the video is about sports day, something typically new. The activities are okay because they have to number the pictures in the order they appear in the video, and there are only 4. Good. Then they have to tick or draw a cross, and there are only 4. Great. There are pictures. Good. Now, remember that I need to scaffold. That's another very important concept. It's not watching the video. I have to prepare them for the video, discussing, pre-teaching vocabulary, telling them what it's going to be about. And then after the video, I have to narrow it down. This happens in England. And in your school? This happens in England. And in your city, in your country? So it's scaffolding, it's short activities, and it's narrowing down. Yes? Another thing that is very good for these children is phonological work. And when I say phonological work, I mean in a broad sense of the word. I mean tongue twisters, maybe songs or chants, marking the rhythm, or working with sounds, depending on your time. Because if you teach 2 hours a week, you don't have time for phonetics. But yes, you have time for rhythm. So, for example, this is the poem, a very simple poem, but the title says, listen and read the poem. Of course, you may listen and read, but then they are not going to remember anything because these children don't remember things after they have done it. So somebody's asking, yes, thank you very much for joining us. Yes, this webinar will be recorded and it will be uploaded in YouTube next week. Okay, so going back to the poem, it says ball, big ball, small ball, tennis ball, hockey ball, football, basketball, blah, 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 blah. Of course, you may just read it, but that is not the idea. These children need to go physical and they need to work on sound because all that together is going to make it memorable. So you can, for example, the focus would be on ball. So it's ball, ball. So they can play. Sorry, it's not a good day for my cough. But you may show them the movement of your lips as they say ball and small, or you may divide the class into groups and the first group reads slowly and the second faster and the third faster and faster and faster, or you may add actions like football, basketball, volleyball, okay? The important thing is phonology is important, oral work is important, and going physical is essential. For the older children, because this, the same as dyslexia, the same as autism, I mean, this is not cured. You are like that, and you will be like that. And you will be able to learn being like that. So it's not a problem. So, again, there's a connection problem. Okay, good, go ahead. It's connectivity, but it will be uploaded onto YouTube. Don't worry. Reading is important. But Houston, we have a problem. They cannot focus. What they read, they forget quickly. So, segmentation. So, scaffolding. So, preparing them for the text. Yes, in terms of vocabulary. Yes, in terms of grammar. But also, and most important, prepare the students in terms of curiosity. Here, for example, they are going to read about a plane that flies without any form of fuel because it's got solar panels. So you have to make them curious. You have to tell them that planes need fuel and then ask them, and is it possible to have a plane without any fuel? And well, it's got solar panels. And for how long do you think it can fly just with solar panels? And when you get their curiosity goes to or leads to motivation. So then you can start reading the first paragraph and checking and discussing, and then the second, and so on and so forth. And another way of preparing them for the test is again photography, showing them photos in your own cell phone. Yes, pre-reading activities are very important. And somebody here is asking, when you're practicing pronunciation, repeating words, for instance, you can make them pretend they are the teacher. Yes, great, great, of course. Yes. What your suggestions are all very, very good. And then comes writing. Writing again has to be meaningful. Writing again has to be practiced regularly and has to be scaffolded. For example, this is for the higher primary courses or lower secondary. We all write about animals. And when you write about animals, you write about the physical description. It's got 4 legs and it's got a tail, or what it can do and what it can't do. And of course, we prepare them by giving them a model. Yes, but look at this part. In exercise 1, they have to pay attention to certain very basic things that at the same time are unusual. For example, the common name versus the scientific name, the habitat, the lifespan. If I have to talk about a giraffe, I know it's got 4 legs, but you know how long it lives? No. Do you know which animals threaten giraffes? Do you know which animal the giraffe may represent a threat for? No. So those are the things. that will make your students curious. And only then can we ask them to write about a giraffe. Okay? Some teachers are saying model, yes. Receptive skills are useful, yes. Receptive skills are useful and necessary, yes. Great. But remember again, we are preparing them for life. I want receptive skills, but these children are extremely, extremely intelligent. So we also want productive skills. Because they are ADD, that is no excuse to say, well, they are not going to produce. It's up to us to make them produce. Receptive skills are necessary. It's part of the scaffolding I was talking about. But we want them to produce. And yes, concrete material. Yes, concrete and authentic as much as possible. Very good. Okay. So now, also exams. Can these children sit for exams? Of course. They may sit for any international exam. And even if they don't sit for an international exam, preparing them for an interview requires also scaffolding. Videos are very good for that. Imagine I asked you, what kind of adventure holiday would you like to go on? First, you have to think of the different kinds of adventure holidays. And that's quite difficult. So watching a video is going to help them remember or sometimes learn the vocabulary. In this unit, if here the question is, can you talk about adventure holidays? It's because the unit is about adventure holidays. And it's because in the vocabulary we taught words related to adventures or our extreme sports. But these children will not remember when the time comes. So watching a short video where somebody uses that vocabulary naturally, that is going to make them remember much more than my repetition. Definitely much more. Sharing anecdotes. Of course, this is related to multiple intelligence. Yes, it is related. But these children, thinking they all have multiple intelligence. They are normal children in that respect, okay? But the point is that they need much more oral work and the memory very often fails, all right? So we are taking like too long. So I will go now to the question that I had at the beginning. And we are going to answer these questions together. Plus the fact that from now on, when you think about ADD, you have to remember some basic concepts. First, it's forever. Second, very often it's overdiagnosed. Third, 90% of the cases you may have are related to limits. Limits at home, and that you won't change. But the only thing you can do is to try and involve parents as much as you can. And then remember that when you speak about these children in the classroom and these children and techniques, then you have to think about techniques for presentation, techniques for practice, and techniques for assessment. And the $1 million question, marking. Because it's not the assessment itself, it's what about the mark? I know he knows, but when he writes, he makes a mess. So those are personal decisions. In the same way I told you, I cannot tell you that you have to cope with the 34 different cases. I know you cannot. But I also know you can begin to cope and deal with more and more in a more and more professional way. So in the same way, you can look for more and more and more strategies and try. Some will work, others will not. It doesn't matter. Keep on trying. But remember that these children need to go out into the world. And when they do go out into the world, you know what? They become extremely successful because of the energy they have, because they are excellent, for example, engineers. They are excellent at using technology. They are excellent at teamwork. So very often they become CEOs and they earn more money than you and me together So don't worry about this. It's a question of passion. It's a question of understanding. It's a question of trying to integrate that child as if that child were your own child. You cannot change the parents. Don't worry about that. And sometimes they may have a neurological issue, but they also have the right to learn, and they can learn, and they must learn. So going back to the questions, is it genetic? I would say no in most cases. But there may be one or two things, and the latest investigation results have shown that there might be a gene that is affected, but that gene becomes active in certain situations, in a certain frame, in a certain environment. So it's not that everybody has got that gene and that gene becomes active or expresses itself, that's the technical word for genes, expresses itself all the time. No, only in a certain context. So the environment is more important. Can children with these issues learn English? Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because English is to be spoken. That is the main reason. And because teaching English has to be fun for us and for them. How? Short activities, scaffolding, monitoring their work, uh, adapting. Sometimes, unfortunately, we have to adapt material. And I will tell you a piece of news. We are beginning, for the first time in Macmillan, we are beginning to produce a new series, to launch a new series that will bring downloadable curricular accommodations. That's the technical word for children with difficulties. Okay, you will learn about it soon, very soon. So again, how? Short activities, accommodation, more oral work than written work, a lot of pronunciation and action and movement in your lessons. What can we do when a child has the symptoms but no diagnosis? It doesn't matter at all. I don't need a diagnosis. And remember that the diagnosis may be wrong. Haven't you ever been, for example, maybe you went to the doctor and he told you that it was a virus and you ended up with appendicitis, for example. It happens so often. It may happen here as well. Or the symptoms that began as ADD may then change into a clear dyslexia or both or something like that. So we are not here to diagnose. We are here to help that and every child learn as much as they can, the way they can. Perhaps it's not my ideal way, but I have to help them. Should we involve parents? Definitely. Now, will the parents want to be involved? I don't think so. Doesn't matter. Keep on trying. You do what you can. You cannot change the world. How ready are we for the challenge? How ready are we for the challenge? How ready do you feel you are for the challenge? I want to see your answer. No answers? I don't think, yes, we are. Uh, a lot after this. I think that when there is passion, we can do a lot of things with mistakes, definitely. We all make mistakes. Uh, Nationally, internationally, we are not ready. We don't know how to. We have to discover. This is also new. This is a new reality that we are beginning to have. It's very difficult. Yes, it is. It's very demanding. Yes, it is. Nobody's going to pay us for this. No, unfortunately not. It depends on our passion. I always say we are not just teachers of English, we are educators. And we choose to be educators. We choose it every day. This is part of it. I'm sure you can try. I have tried a couple of times. Sometimes it fails. Of course, if it fails, it means that you're trying and you have learned or you are learning a lesson. You know that that doesn't work. Not everything works with everybody. It's a great challenge, but I can tell you from my own experience just one thing. The day that that child feels successful, that child feels that he has been able to do something, then he's so grateful and he shows it so nicely that he touches your heart. And that sometimes is worth the whole thing. Okay? I read some comments. We mustn't lose our passion. Definitely not. Definitely not. I understand that we can be professional without passion. I understand that. But with passion, I believe, and this is my humble opinion, I believe we can be much better professionals. We must try hard, yes, definitely. But teaching is not easy. If you want to be a good teacher, that's not easy, especially nowadays. So I know you will be able to do this better and better each day. Simply, I would like to say uh, thank you very, very much. As I was telling you, we are going to upload this onto YouTube. I told you about your certificates together with the presentation. It's going to be sent to your personal emails. We've got your email, so it's not a problem. After this, you will have the chance to complete a survey. For us, your feedback is very important. Not only to say if you liked it or not, if you feel I'm good or not, but also to let us know what you're interested in. Okay, and here you can see my personal email address. You can become my friend, my Facebook friend. You can befriend me. That's the verb. And we can talk about any special case you want to discuss or any other, maybe another difficulty that you have, perhaps not ADD. Remember last week some weeks ago, we dealt with dyslexia, and that is also in YouTube. Okay. A real pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. See you soon. Bye bye. See you. Thank you.